Now we are there.
We're getting just right into it. We're not
Right
even,
into
we're,
it.
We're not even gonna. We're not even gonna get. We're not even gonna do a cold open. We're not even gonna do a little joke in the beginning. We're going right into it.
Ring the bell.
Right. Oh! Do it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a podcast all about wrestling. In this corner, an author and a black belt, Kibbles.
Kibbles? What kind of name is that?
Pookie the Wolf is the best.
I forgot my copies. And in this corner, Pookie the Wolf.
Pookie the Wolf is one of the best.
Welcome to the Kibbles and Pookies Squared Circle.
So there's a lot to talk.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Sorry. Welcome to Kibbles and Pookie Squared Circle. There's a lot to there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, and a lot of there's a big, broad rant I want to talk about with CM Punk.
A big rant.
Yeah, because having.
So we're starting with Punk?
No, we don't have to start with Punk. I just know that there's a lot I want to say about Punk.
All right, then we should start there.
Okay. So, years ago, when I watched the Best in the World DVD,
Yeah.
there's times where I go, I don't think you're right there, mate. I don't think you're right.
Yeah. So I'll also say this is the Best in the World DVD is like interesting to me because it's Punk's story, but it's also filtered through the lens of the WWE because it's a WWE produced DVD.
Yeah. There are the moments where I'm like, yeah, he's not getting what he deserves, and he's saying that he's not what doesn't get what he shouldn't get, or he should get what he deserves. But then also I'm like, well, yeah, that's in the climate of WWE. Yes, it's very much a concept of, yes, you are right. You are not being treated correctly here. But there's some stuff where he says, and I go, I don't think that's correct. I think you're tooting your own horn there. So there's times where, like, even me having him one of my favorite wrestlers, I go, I don't think you're right. I don't think you're that good. Especially at that point.
Yeah, so there's like a weird, I agree with you, there's like a weird line where like you kind of walk the line of like, you gotta like believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And like but yeah, I don't know. There's also that weird thing where like, because he's in the limelight, people are like, how dare you like walk out on us, and they feel like entitled.
Mm-hmm.
But like if he was in any other line of work, they'd be like cheering him on, being like, yeah, you're being disrespected, like fuck that company. Like if he was like a Home Depot worker,
yeah,
everybody be on his side.
That was the thing with like when AEW came around, I was like, well, this is good because maybe his hubris of being the best or whatever wouldn't be such a thing of his age. Like, he's at the age where he's like, I don't know if I can do this still, and blah blah blah, and it feels like more of like he's more humble about it.
Yeah, he has said in interviews that that some of the things that he said and did were in like a harshness, brassness of being a younger person.
But
that I truly believe a lot of younger people go through.
Yeah. But along those lines, is he too prideful or too petty about stuff, that stuff comes out like that? Like, for example, like the point we're trying to get to was this Wednesday, his weird like call out to Hangman Adam Page was just kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, so there's like this. So here's the weird thing with this, right? Apparently, I'll say it this way, right? We're reading about stuff. We don't actually know anybody.
Yeah.
So
I don't know him personally.
Yeah, we don't know him personally. We don't know anybody in the locker room personally. So we're just going by what's being like reported and talked about. And there seems to be a split backstage where some people believe that Punk stepped over the line by doing that, calling Hangman out and making their babyface look like a punk bitch by not coming out. There are also a lot of people that say that he's justified in, well, maybe not justified in his response. He still shouldn't have done it, but there are a lot of people that are like, well, Hangman started it months ago when he was like, remember they did the dueling, they were doing the promo, and he was like, you're a fucking cancer. I need to like stop the company. Like, there are things that apparently Hangman said that are like backstage things that some people like. There are a lot of people who are like, yeah, but Hangman was disrespectful first. So like,
yeah, but like that's the thing. Like,
Punk
even,
wouldn't have done this if he hadn't like done it
yeah,
first.
and even people are saying it's connecting to the fact that the Dark Order and Colt Cabana.
Colt
and I'm
Cabana,
like,
yeah.
In a storyline concept is, even if he said things that were rude to CM Punk, don't you think that after he beat him, he'd be like, okay, just put that aside and not worry about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's where the thing is, right? I can't tell if Punk is being petty about it because I don't know what happened. I know that there was a disagreement about an agreement that was made, and there was like a lawsuit that happened because of it and whatever, but like we don't actually know any of the we don't actually know what was agreed upon. We don't actually know what was said between the two. Like, it's totally possible that throughout the argument, like, Colt Cabana said, like, stepped over a line, and Punk was like, that's the line that, like, I'm standing and dying on.
Yeah.
Like, because there have been people in my life that I've had to say, like, this is the line, and I'm like,
at a certain point
we're not coming back from this anymore.
Yeah.
So I understand that. And like, and even in certain aspects, like, I'm sure I'm being petty in some of those situations, but like sometimes to protect yourself and to move on with your life, you have to do that. Without knowing any specifics, I refuse to comment about whether I think Punk's being petty or not.
Yeah, no, I could think of a situation in my life now. Like, I had a funeral on Thursday, and there's someone I didn't even talk to, and someone was like, "Oh, did you talk to?" And I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Well, why not?"
There's no
Don't you
reason
think
to.
it's been long enough? I'm like, still don't have a reason to talk to them.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things where you don't have to do just because it seems like time has passed. Time heals, but doesn't mean you have to really oblige to talk to that, especially if that person isn't like a big important part of your life.
Yeah, there's a difference between forgiving and like moving on and all that kind of stuff. People think that, I mean, sometimes you have to. It's called a boundary to protect yourself.
Yeah, it would be a shame if that were the case with CM Punk and Colt, where they're just done being friends, which is a shame for all the years.
Correct. That's what it sounds like,
but
based on what people are saying.
If it seems like neither of them are going to back down, then there's not really something you guys need to keep pushing and try to make better. I'm sure if they want to fix it, they'll fix it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very confusing on what the situation is, but we just know there's some awkwardness towards that whole scenario.
Here's what I will say about the situation. I will not comment about whether Punk is being petty or any of that kind of stuff because I don't know the situation.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is, have both Punk and Hangman been unprofessional? Yes. Because if they're going out and saying certain things and doing that without the other one knowing or without approval from Tony Khan or the writers or whatever.
We talked about it before. You'd assume, especially with, like, I remember we talked about it with Christian and Jungle Boy, where if Christian wanted to talk shit about Jungle Boy's dad, you would at least say, hey, is it okay if I talk shit on your dad?
Right.
And be like, is this okay?
And if he says it's okay, then it's okay.
If Jangle Boy says it's fine,
Jangle Boy says it's fine. But if the parties have not agreed to it beforehand,
it's kind of fucked up.
Then it is unprofessional.
Yeah, kind of fucked up to do that.
And I will also say unprofessional on both sides.
Yeah.
Hangman did not handle it professionally, and neither did CM Punk.
And it's just.
A lot of people are speculating that we're getting to a point of a lot of people are likening it to the end of WCW, where the inmates were like running the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think that just recently this week there was a lot of announcements about like Tony Schiavone becoming the new like head of talent relations or something.
Really?
Yeah, there were some organizational moves.
Who was the former?
I think it was just Tony Khan doing all of it.
Well, I remember what's his face head of talent relations Captain Dean Sean
I don't think so.
I thought Captain Sean Dean was part of like the talent stuff, because I remember he was like they didn't really blatantly say it because he was doing like small, dark matches, but I thought he was a part of the talent stuff.
Maybe he was.
I'm not positive on that. Don't quote me. He has a funny bit that he does on Sammy Guevara's vlog where he just repeats the saying, okay. So then you went and did a move and you didn't think it through, okay? And then you ended up getting spiked into the floor by Lance Archer, okay? He does just that over and over again.
Okay.
And then he dresses up as the wrestler who gets the shit kicked out of him. So he's like talking to himself and doing this whole thing where he's like, okay. So then you messed up there, okay? And it's just it's just that over and over again. That, and he does, what's the other joke he does to Sammy all the time where it's something about someone's mom. It's always like it's like a that's what she said kind of thing where he just constantly does it. It gets old after a while, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to crack my drink.
Yeah, AEW. Oh, okay. AEW announced it would be expanding its talent relation team and clearly defining roles for those placed in the new positions.
Okay.
That included lead announcer Tony Schiavone being promoted to senior producer and special advisor to talent.
Okay, so who's your talent relations stuff? Or is that just the same thing? Just different words?
Not sure.
I'm going to look up.
I think, but I think there is a lot of, like, we need to get some people under control and in line within AEW. I think they've also, since the show has started, they've had issues of people just running over their time. And, there needs to be people need to be held accountable for sticking to their time slots on TV. Like, routinely, pretty much every week, you always hear about, like, oh, the main event or the ending was rushed because, a certain match had 8 minutes and they went 10 minutes. And another match had 10 minutes, but they decided they were going to go 15. And, like, no one is being reprimanded for not sticking to their cues or not following their bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened numerous times now, even with Cody Rhodes. When he came out and had that final promo before the ladder match, his final match with Sammy Guevara, his final match in AEW, he like even went out there and he was like, yeah, I'm going to cut this promo because someone told me not to, but I'm going to anyway because I might not get another chance. And then he just did the thing, and I was like, yeah, we can't be letting that happen anymore. Like, that doesn't mean that you restrict and write for the wrestlers, but there needs to be...
So I said, fuck it, I'm doing whatever I want now.
Yeah. There needs to be repercussions if you're not going to, like, follow what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I looked up the Captain Sean Dean, and he is an extra coordinator for talent, mostly with dark stuff. But if someone, when they come on as extra stuff, like I'm sure people who like get thrown around by Wardlow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he says it came about, I guess, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because it became a thing where like he was a part of.
Because they're called extras now.
Yeah.
Not
professional wrestlers?
Not jobbers.
Oh yeah, I guess that would make more sense because it seems more of an offensive term.
Sure.
To be called a jobber. Well,
sure.
If you're an extra, it makes sense. Like, oh, you're an extra person it's like a movie.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems like one of those things that was, I don't know.
Like, if you were in a horror movie as an extra, you wouldn't want to be called a victim. Oh, we got extra victims over here. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'd want to be called an extra because I'm just on set.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A jobber feels like it's something you'd call someone as like an offensive term for wrestling, at least.
Yeah, I
Like,
gotcha.
Go get that jobber over there. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like more of a offensive term. Anyway, yeah, there needs to be more of a control, a light grip on what we're doing as far as AEW.
Yeah, I'm sure the stuff with Moxley was planned. The stuff with Hangman was not. With Punk.
You mean like the fight?
No, the rest of the promo.
By the way,
Sorry. I think the rest of the promo was planned.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he
yeah.
went out and was
So,
like, "I'm saying this first."
in a kayfabe kind of way. What do you think that's definitely not a work? You think that's just something that's just because like
You mean with Hangman and Punk?
yeah,
I definitely don't think it's a work.
Okay.
If it is a work, it has turned into a work.
Well, yeah, most of the time you should just rotate it into a work. Be
If
like,
it,
oh, yeah,
I don't believe
Like-
it started as a
like
work.
if he beats Moxley and then they go on to All Out with Hangman versus him, I'd be like, okay, well then they tried to kind of rotate it into
Maybe it
something
was
else.
maybe yeah. Then you're like maybe Punk's comment was a work.
Or maybe Punk
from
wanted
the-
that and tried to push it and was like a bit of an a-hole about it and went, I'm gonna call out Hangman even though it's not planned for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, yeah. The other interesting thing is that there's a rumor going around that after Hangman said what he said to Punk in the ring during that promo before their first match, Punk went to Tony Khan and was like, "I will never fucking lie down for him. Like, I will not lie down for him. I will not lose to him."
Really?
Yeah. So, not saying it happened. I'm just saying there's a rumor that that's what
interesting.
Punk said.
That stuff's interesting. I think that's that's the stuff I'm like, you can't be like that.
Yeah. So.
You have to be able to work with everybody. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I think that comparatively to Bret Hart, the problem wasn't the problem I don't think was Shawn Michaels. I think the problem was the company itself.
Yeah.
Like he talks a lot of crap on Shawn Michaels in that whole situation, but I don't think the problem comes from Shawn Michaels. It comes from the company itself because the company's going to back Shawn Michaels
Yeah.
because this guy's leaving, and they're like, oh, we don't want him to take our title. It's like in that situation. I think in general,
Yeah. I don't think anybody was right in that situation.
it's like with him and with him and Goldberg, where it's just like, I'm sure Goldberg didn't mean to do it,
Yeah.
but it's just unfortunate that it happened, and
Mhm.
it could have been preventable.
Mhm.
Preventable.
The Goldberg thing was definitely an accident. At least the way I see it.
And that's the thing that I hate, where people who are huge Bret Hart fans are like, "Oh, Goldberg fucked him, fucking ruined everything." And I'm like, yeah, pretty much, but still, it's just like, it's not like he went out of his way to be like, "I'm gonna take this fucking guy out."
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah. To finish up with the Punk stuff, he had some zings there.
yeah. And he said, actually
He's-
mentioned the thing that I always mentioned about how Moxley, you'd fucking, if he stubs his toe, he starts bleeding. Like,
That was funny.
you bleed all over me. It's like, yeah, no,
He's like, "I'd fight you right now, but I'm afraid you bleed all over me."
yeah, because he loves to get color. It's
I was
just
like, that was
ridiculous.
funny. What was the other? The other? I think the other really big one was
I was so he
was
said
you're the third best guy in your group.
yeah. So he said he said what, the third best Eddie I've ever wrestled,
Eddie Kingston's the third best Eddie I've ever wrestled.
and then the second best Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, okay, you're talking about Kofi Kingston.
Yep.
But then I couldn't think of who the second Eddie was. 'Cause I was like Eddie Guerrero,
Eddie Guerrero was first.
and then
There was I forget who it was. Somebody. I was listening to a podcast and they were like, "It's Eddie Guerrero, Eddie something." I forget who the Eddie was.
but it's another Eddie. We know
Yeah.
it's an Eddie.
And I like that he was like, "You're not even going to be the first John I beat in Chicago for a
Yeah.
world title."
I was like, oh, he mentioned John Cena. Everyone's mad. Oh,
Yeah, I thought
perfect.
the best. Like I said, I thought the best line was, "You're the third best guy in your own group," and that's like a reoccurring theme in your career. I thought that was so
Yeah,
good.
That was a good one too. I didn't really pick that up right away. I was like,
Oh, immediately I was like, "Oh,
I was like,
shit."
oh, Shield. Okay.
Which is the funny thing about it is, the company saw him as the third best guy in the Shield, but like when the Shield had come up, all the fans saw him as the best guy in the
best
Shield,
guy in
which
the
is
Shield,
funny.
Which I would say back when the Shield was around, I thought he was the best one out of all of them.
When they first started, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Until they made him like the weird guy. Yeah. The weird, strange guy. But so the way to pivot to that, because you said about the we said about how he said John Cena and everything. The concept behind there's this guy named, I forget what it's called. I don't know. Forgive me for the I don't know the YouTuber. I think it's Tranquillo.
John Sinbad?
No, it's Tranquillo Club.
Yeah.
And he's a YouTuber who does like video essays on AEW and wrestling in general. And he has a video that came out. It was called AEW's Back, and it was to mention Omega. But he goes, I'm appreciating it more and more because we're getting people back to full strength and getting people out of that Forbidden Door era when everyone was injured.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Omega back, and we have CM Punk back, and we're getting people back. He said the only real person, or at least I thought of, the only real person that we're missing right now is MJF. And I was thinking, he goes, while I'm enjoying the things when Omega is coming back, people are worried about the other and he just keeps calling it the other company, are getting excited for the other company because they're just saying wrestling again. He said that isn't enough for me to go back and watch it. He goes, I don't hate that company, which is exactly how I felt. I don't hate that company, but you can't get excited just because they're saying a word now. They're not really doing anything different. They're just saying words now. It's just like, he's like, I'll see if I can see some kind of change in that company, then I'll get excited. But right now, AEW is still one of the best promotions that's going on right now. And he's more of like a big fan of Omega, and kept bringing up the fact of him coming back and even not seeming like he's fully 100%.
So it was interesting. I was actually trying to figure out, like, is Omega coming back and he's not 100%? Because, like, he had that weird shoulder thing on.
It's almost like if
And I was
that's
like-
the case,
I was
he's
like-
learned nothing.
I was like, dude, are you still hurt? Because you got that weird shoulder thing was on. And I
Yeah.
was like, does that do anything? Or is it just like...
And even like there was stuff that he was doing where he was like kind of like, oh, hold on, like an old man. They were like, hold on, I gotta...
See, I actually really liked that because, and they did the same thing with Bryan Danielson. He came back and they played up the concussion injury, and I was like, for years we've been seeing like, oh, a wrestler gets injured, they're gone for like 10 months, and then they come back and they're magically like amazing. They beat whoever, and I was like, it's actually really cool to see them either lose or win, but have them play up the injury.
I mean, we even saw that with CM Punk a little bit, where we were seeing like him try to get back into and get used to it in the first couple of matches.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy that. Maybe Omega hammed it up a little too much, but
a little bit to the point where I got concerned. I was like, is he really like ready to come back? Because if so, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
You still have. You're in a tournament now. Like it's not a thing of like you can just be like, oh, I'm one match and maybe I'll go take a break again.
yeah.
You're in a tournament and you won too. Like if they lost, I was like, okay, he can take some time to get like officially back, but not like.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for him is that because of the way the tournament is running,
gives him time.
Because next week is a match. Like he won't have to wrestle again. He's not wrestling this week. It'd be next week, so he has 2 weeks in between the match. And then probably 2 weeks in between the semifinal and the final, I think.
Did you? I mean, I didn't really notice it. I guess it's kind of a subtle notice, but there's a lot of chaos this week on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
Even with like, they ended the show and they were still doing stuff with the.
That's because other people ran over, and they had their time cut.
Yeah.
And what they should have done.
Well, I mean, like the Andrade and Roosh, them turning on his brother. I'm like, is this really necessary? Like, do we really need to see this?
Right. Well, what they should have done from a production standpoint is they should have waited to do any of that until they were off the air, and then made it like tried to make it go viral. Like, oh my God, this happened after the show went off the air. Like, so then you feel like you have to be paying attention to the social and stuff.
But instead, it was more of like they had that.
Instead, they tried to rush it.
Well, instead they did a video of Kenny Omega after the fact, do like a whole like.
Yeah. Well, they could still do that. Just do both of those after the show. Like they should have looked at it, said we don't have enough time, so we're going to do X, Y, Z. Also, I'm surprised that I got online and didn't find out at all that he got fucking knocked out. because he looked like he got knocked the fuck out.
Who?
Dragon Lee.
Dragon.
When Kenny Omega
didn't?
need him,
Oh,
dude, he
I
looked
thought
like
you
he
meant-
was knocked the
Dude,
fuck
I
out.
thought he died when he jumped into the crowd. When he
Same.
jumped onto Kenny, I thought he was dead. I was like, he ain't moving. He's dead.
That spot was so
Just coffee all over him.
yeah.
That was just unnecessary.
It happened. I was like, that was a crazy spot that could have really hurt them. And if they're lucky, didn't hurt someone else, because if they hurt somebody else, they were getting sued.
Yeah.
Like that was. I hope that they got fucking reamed out for that.
Yeah. That was a bit.
That was
much.
way too fucking dangerous.
That was a bit much on that part.
Yeah, because Kenny hit the knee, and then the way he was like this, and Kenny had him like in a belly to back, like German, like trying to pull him back into the ring, and then he tried to pull him up into the one-winged angel.
The one-winged angel looked like it was like he was dead,
and he was just like hanging there. He did it, and then what? And I was like, that's what made me say like I think he got knocked out when he kneed him.
To the point of Kenny like not being in
after
character,
the
just
match.
going,
Kenny was like, "Yo, bro," and they like shook hands. He was like, "Yo, bro." That was what sealed it for me. I was like, something happened, because Kenny's checking on him. Something happened.
Yeah.
So I think he went and did the V trigger knee. I think he knocked him out.
Probably. He probably went full force into it. Like he probably like leaned into getting a hit. Yeah.
No, because I texted you. I was like, I think he got knocked. I texted my other friends too. I was like, I think he got knocked the fuck out.
I thought he died after that leap outside the ring.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not moving. He's just out there, little kid in front of him, just like.
Yeah. So the reason the whole like mask off thing, rush job thing kind of happened was because they were trying to fit that in before the show went off the air, and other segments had run long. Okay. Which is apparently a reoccurring theme every week, which is why
keep doing them versus the Lucha Brothers. Or are they just notoriously known for ripping masks off?
I don't know. I feel like it's a gimmick thing now.
Which, by the way, is redundant because they both come out to masks.
Yes.
So.
Well, I think they both wrestled in. I know Andrade did. I'm not sure about Rouge, but I think they both wrestled in Mexico with masks, and then and then stopped wearing the masks when they came to America. I know that Andrade specifically was because WWE didn't want him to wear a mask.
That's stupid.
They did the same thing with.
Handsome.
They did the same thing with.
You got a girl you're looking at?
They did the same thing with Escobar on NXT.
I don't know who that is.
Oh.
Sorry.
He was a very famous Mexican wrestler, wore a mask, and he came to WWE, and they had him take the mask off.
I know Mandy Rose, and I know Braun Breaker, and that's it, as far as right now on NXT. Oh, and that guy who turned American to African to American again.
Merc.
What's the guy's name?
Oh,
shit, I can't think.
Apollo Crews.
Yeah, I legitimately forgot his name there for a second. Apollo. I was gonna say Cross, and I'm like, no. So speaking of which, what do you think about the Redeemer and his hot wife now? What is he doing?
I don't know.
I
didn't even know he was gonna have a match on Rampage.
He didn't.
He fought Buddy Matthews.
Oh, that wasn't a match. He just came out.
Oh, he just came out?
He just came out and beat the shit out of Buddy Matthews.
I only saw.
He came out with a mask, like I guess one of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was Buddy Matthews or if it was did I say the wrong one? Alistair?
Brody King?
No, I was gonna say Alistair, and I was like, no, it'd be Malachi, right? Mr. Black. I think he had one of their masks.
Mr. Black.
So it was him and Julia Hart, and he like squashed some Serpentico. He squashed him, like bell rung, full force, running full drop kick, like didn't even get a chance to think. Like the bell rung, and he just went and just went, kicked him right in the chest, and then just pretty much beat the shit out of him from there. But him and Julia Hart were there, and then he just kind of like finished up, and just Redeemer comes walking out with a mask on, throws it on the floor, and then Buddy Matthews just kind of like rolled out the ring and started fighting him, and then they got in the ring and they started fighting, and then and like Julia Hart.
All I saw was the clip of them fighting and thought it was a match.
Julia Hart looked legitimately like concerned when he showed up, and I'm like, that's not really that like that House of Black character. They don't. That's the thing with them. They're not worried. They never ever.
She is worried though.
But she shouldn't have been.
She's a good actress.
No. She should have been. She shouldn't have been. She shouldn't have been scared at all. She should have just
Oh.
been like, stone faced and be like, doesn't matter. Buddy Matthews is gonna beat your ass. Blah blah blah. But he didn't. He got his ass beat.
Exactly. That's why she was worried. She knew he couldn't beat his
Maybe.
ass.
But he didn't touch her.
Seabass.
He didn't kick his ass, Seabass. He didn't touch her though. She didn't touch him though. You know
Good.
why? Because only one person that can touch
him.
Yeah, that's
His hot wife.
Thank you. I feel like it's more for you than me. I feel like you like it more than I do. Like I really like Jangle Boy, but I feel like
Jangle
you
Boy.
like the hot wife thing more than I do.
Oh, I do.
I like it. It's just I feel like you want to say it more than I do.
Well, there was a time period where he had like a promo segment every week, and so every week
It's
he
just so
would talk
weird.
about his hot wife, which is funny.
Because you're like talking about revenge and how you're gonna murder these people, and you go, and my hot wife. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Okay. Only God and my hot wife.
So he did it. So he was doing it every single week at one point with promos, and I was watching a Comic-Con panel. I mean, this was like probably almost a year ago at this point, but I was watching a Comic-Con panel. It was him, Orange Cassidy, and I think Adam Cole. I think. And so somebody in the crowd had come in, and they said that they started playing a drinking game when they watch AEW. And so when certain things happen, you take certain shots or you do certain things. And so one of them was you take a shot every time Miro mentions his hot wife. Was part of the game.
He's guaranteed at least one drink.
Yes. So that's, and I think that's what makes me now like laugh at the hot wife thing, was because I think of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dynamite, what else is Dynamite? Because we kind of got on Rampage, but Dynamite was...
Thor 3, Dynamite. Sorry.
Yeah, they definitely say Dynamite.
Dynamite.
I forgot what happened with... Shit, was that Rampage or was that Dynamite? I can't remember. They're fusing together. Was Powerhouse Hobbs on Dynamite? He did a promo with Shivani.
That was a good promo.
So... I think Rampage was where he did the table flip.
Yes.
Okay.
His promo
Did
was
you
good.
see that, the table flip?
I did not.
So he like went after QT Marshall and all them, and they were like playing cards. I don't know what they're like. They're trying to do the mafia thing now because like they have Camarado in the velour, the blue velour
I
suit.
did notice that.
And then like he walked up to him and he just like kind of like said some stuff and flipped the table, and then they like all jumped up and like acted like they were gonna beat him up and all this stuff. It was weird, but then it just nothing really happened.
I liked his promo, and it gave him character, and at the same time gave a reasonable explanation for him turning on Ricky Starks. That was more than, you lost the title, so I'm going to turn on you.
Yeah,
which I feel like WWE does a lot. He had a reason why he turned on him besides like, oh well, we lost.
Something that always makes me sad with Powerhouse Hobbs is hearing that he saw his brother get murdered in front of him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
That is just terrible. Anyway, I'm sorry. I brought the situation down. We were talking about hot wives and fake crime bosses, and
so how excited are you for Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa?
Not at all. Why the fuck would you say that?
I don't know, because I'm not excited for it at all. I have no desire to see this match.
Exactly. So, so did you see? We'll get to this next week. I don't want to bring up next week or this Wednesday yet.
Okay.
But there's a point where I was like, why? Not why, but like, what the fuck are you trying to do here? But so like the 2 out of 3 falls match.
Mm-hmm.
Good. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of glazed over the world heavyweight match that's gonna happen. I was gonna say earlier that.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I was gonna say earlier the fact of like this brawl wasn't really a brawl at all. It was kind of like they're like and trying to get like one shot in, and then they looked like it looked very rehearsed or fake. I mean, I know that's rude to say, but fake. But
see,
there's times where like they're gonna hit each other, and they're like, and then they got pulled apart before they even got a chance to fight.
Yeah, I will say there was a couple before the people came out and separated them. It looked like they were like really going at it. Because like normally you do like that weird side punch thing, and Punk was like coming over top, like punching him in the forehead.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
I feel like with brawls, when you stage brawls, you should have like moments where you go, okay, everyone let loose on them or let them loose, and then they'll get broken up again.
Yeah. I thought it was,
or have one break off and jump over the crowd and attack them, and they did kind of like that, where like they got one like almost shot in, and then they kind of pulled back before they got a chance to do anything.
I liked I liked I liked that Moxley came out later and attacked Tony Nese. It was like, fuck this, let's go. And then they started fighting again.
I was gonna bring that up.
I was
too.
like, this was awesome.
The Tony Nese thing was so weird because I'm like, I don't think they announced anything for Tony Nese. They didn't say anything about that, and all of a sudden you just see Moxley come barreling through on the other side and just fucking wail on him. And then smart Mark Sterling's confused and he gets wailed on too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, sure, why not? Just take them both out.
I love that because normally it's like they break up and whatever, and
like
this time he was just like, nope, we're going again. I thought that was cool.
That's the thing with Hangman, where I was like, if they could do, like, if he was complaining and then went, I want to do, if he wanted to do Hangman again, he could have been like, I want to do Hangman at All Out, and then be like, okay, well, we'll do that next week. We'll have Moxley go out right now, attack somebody, and just, kind of like an audible.
Yeah, that's
if it was a work,
right. See, that's the only weird thing is like, then you're saying your interim world champion doesn't have anything for All Out. Moxley doesn't do anything for All Out because if you do Hangman, then Moxley doesn't have anything.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? Like triple threat or something?
Maybe. Honestly, I think.
It'd be interesting.
I think the audience would be disappointed. I am wondering if what they are going to do is have Punk Moxley go to a time limit draw, and then they rematch at the pay-per-view.
I have an interesting
That's
concept.
what I think happens.
I have an interesting concept that's going to fucking blow your mind. So what if they do a thing where these guys are going to fight, and then we have like so the concept of MJF coming back would be kind of just like, okay, he's back and he'll go back to his old ways. I feel like he's going to come back with a crew that can help him get stuff done. His pinnacle, his his inner circle, faking being in that group or whatever. What if, and this is a what if, it's a far reach, but what if the man working for MJF is Stokely Hathaway, and all these people that Stokely Hathaway has given cards to is to help MJF come back with a group of people who are newer people who aren't appreciated, because that's what he was complaining about.
Right.
People who were legitimately wrestlers who want to get, like the Gun Club, Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page. Was there another one? I think that's it. There might be another person. I can't think of it. But I was like, what if that's a concept? Because I thought about, like, where are they going with the Stokely Hathaway, and what would be the big concept of, because, like, we already know who's been targeted by Stokely Hathaway, but what is it for? So, like, if they did something for MJF where it involved him having this new group of people that were lower down, and I don't know. It's more of the Pinnacle, another Pinnacle, like, reformed in a way that's, eventually they're going to work their way past MJF or whatever. But it's like, if there's anyone who can build up talent, it's MJF, whether they're on his team or they're against him.
Yeah. I guess the only difference or weird thing with it is that Hathaway is targeting people who are, like, very low down on the card. It would be very interesting. They would have to do a lot. They would have to do a lot for me to believe that anybody in that group could legitimately actually beat.
Well, that's the thing.
That
would be the whole thing. It'd be a push for these smaller guys to see more of a presence.
Right.
Ethan Page and
Ethan Page. I don't know. Like, I could look at it. Like, I guess that's the thing, right?
It's
like
a stretch. I just thought of it and was like, throw it out there.
See, the thing is, like, with the Pinnacle was like FTR. Well, I guess FTR is a former WWE, but like Wardlow, Wardlow, FTR. Like, I believe they could beat like some of the talent. Like, I don't believe the Gun Club could beat CM Punk or John Moxley or Bryan Danielson or Chris Jericho or Keith Lee or Swerve Strickland. Like I couldn't see them ever winning. So
that's the thing too. The only person I couldn't see doing it is Lee Moriarty, but all of those people cheat, just like MJF.
Yeah.
All those people are constantly trying to get one over, and they don't need to technically outmatch someone. They just need to win.
Yeah.
It's an idea.
They could do it.
It's a very interesting idea that I thought about just now, and I was like, it probably won't happen, but it'd be an interesting kind of swerve too.
Yeah, no,
You gotta stop using the term swerve, by the way. I always get confused.
What I'm saying is it would be an interesting concept, and they could do it. All I'm saying is that they would have to do a lot to get me to believe that those guys could beat.
Well, it's a numbers thing too.
Right.
When it comes down to like if they're starting off with one person, they could just fucking beat the shit out of that one person.
Yeah. Only because I think about the people that MJF would go after, and I'm just like, no, I don't believe these guys could beat Claudio or Keith Lee or. You know what I mean?
You're talking about going after the people who are from.
Well, he would go
WWE.
he would go after the people who are from WWE, and it's kind of like I don't believe that the Gun Club or Lee Moriarty could beat any of those people.
Daivari and then work their way out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's what I'm saying, right? Ultimately, I'm saying like they would need to do something to make me believe they could beat someone. Even FTR. I don't believe they could beat FTR.
I didn't think of it in a way of him going after WWE people. I thought of it in a way of him having power over other people so he doesn't have to constantly fight, actually wrestle and do his own work.
See, I looked at it as if they were doing that, then it would be
continuing,
it would be to continue his plot line of I don't get enough money, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
You are just going with whatever the hot WWE guy is
mark.
from the month that goes through. Yeah, basically.
There was something else towards that before I started talking about other stuff. I don't know. I was just throwing that out there. This stuff's interesting, especially like even this week with the Danny Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Garcia has a face. I mean, assuming he'll have a face. See, the only thing I could think them doing is doing like a fake out and make it seem like he's going to turn back to a baby face, and then just go, no, he's gonna.
Yeah, I think a fake out is more likely. There are a lot of people online who think the Luchasaurus thing was a fake out, and that Christian and Jungle Boy will wrestle it all out, and Luchasaurus will turn on Jungle Boy.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean Jangle Boy?
Jangle Boy. I don't know if I believe that, but apparently a lot of people online are saying that.
That will hurt my soul. That will hurt me emotionally. Speaking of affecting me emotionally, CM Punk put some pictures out on Twitter, I believe, maybe Instagram as well. Point is that one of the pictures is him shaking hands with Chris Statlander, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's like him and FTR, and I think Moxley's in one of them.
But he's shaking hands with Chris Statlander. I love both of them. Anyway.
A jersey went on sale.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I didn't either. I looked at it. I was like, I'm not spending $120 on that jersey.
So that was the thing I didn't get, because I went, yeah, I'm not going to get it. And you're like, yeah, that's too expensive. And then you're like, hey, I just bought my so-and-so ticket for Malachi Black. I'm like, wait a minute. And I was like, I get it. You're getting something out of it. But I was like, wait a minute. You just said that this is only $4 more.
No, it's too expensive for a jersey.
For a jersey. That was the thing, too. It's the practicality of would I wear a jersey?
Right.
It's like, did I show you the hoodie, the Becky Lynch hoodie?
Yeah.
That Becky Lynch hoodie, I probably wear all the time. Because it's a hoodie.
Yeah, my thing was, I'm not saying the price
I
tag.
get it.
I'm saying the price tag is too expensive
just-
for the item.
I thought it was just so funny, though. I was like, wait a
My
minute.
my Malachi Black ticket is getting me a photo op, 2 autographs,
Oh,
And
what are
I-
you going to have him sign? Your
and-
button?
and I get to skip the line.
He just took a victory sip.
Victory sip, baby.
Um,
And now I'm torn because I want to go to Darby Allin and Johnny Gargano, and I was like, am I really going to drive down there every other weekend
But-
for
okay.
6 weeks?
so who is your favorite out of those three, though?
That's a good question. It's definitely either Darby or Black.
I was gonna say I would assume it'd be just your answer was Black.
Yeah, it's probably Black.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get it. Like
I feel like
Like, if I
from a
spent a-
wrestling standpoint, it's absolutely Black. I feel like from a character standpoint, I
Darby
might
Allin?
like Darby a little bit more than Black. But that's
It's-
because they're not doing a lot with House of Black in general.
it's the concept that if I spent an exorbitant amount of money to see CM Punk or to do something with CM Punk, I understand that I assume that you'd understand it.
Mhm.
Like that's like when you went to go see Taker. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that makes sense.
It was like a one-time.
Yeah, which is just a shame. I want him to sign some stuff. I'd love to meet Undertaker. Is it weird that I want to meet Undertaker more than I want to meet Kane? That's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot for
Yeah.
you, yeah. I mean, he still does do some
I think
signings.
it's the Twitter stuff.
Yeah. Well. So for Taker, it also depends on what you want, right? Like he does
Fuck
do
that guy.
some
No.
he does do some like private signings where like you can send something or pick something for him to sign, and
How much you think it
so
costs?
then you don't have to meet him.
How much you think it costs for me to kiss him on the mouth?
A lot.
Like how much? Give me an amount.
Give you an amount. $2,000
$2,000?
maybe.
That's
I don't know.
doable. I can.
That's doable.
When is it? When is the event? Is it 2 years from now? Because I'll
Sure.
save up. So yeah. So getting back to it.
Michelle McCool has to stand there next to you to make sure
That's
no
fine.
hand stuff
she
happens.
can watch. I'll pay her to watch. Anyway, so we were saying all the other stuff. What did we miss from Dynamite?
There's going to be a trios match at All Out.
No, I'm saying what are we talking about this week?
Oh,
We saw
yeah.
Tony Storm.
They announced a trios match is going to happen at All Out.
Tony Storm versus that Kaylee Lynn or whatever the hell her name is.
Whatever. They do this poor women's division a disservice.
Yeah. Well,
I think AEW
Yeah.
does a terrible job booking their women. That's just
right now or
that's
just in general?
right now.
Okay.
Well, I feel like there was a time where it was a little bit better, but I feel like recently it's been garbage.
I like the stuff on Dark that they do, but it's usually just the same combinations changed up.
Yeah.
Normally, if there's more jobbers on one side, you'll go, well, that team's gonna lose. Like if it's Nyla Rose, Marina Shafir, and some random bitch, you'd be like, okay, they're going to lose. But if it's like Blue Sky, I don't know, Blue Sky, fucking Hikaru Shida, and some random bitch, you go, okay, they're gonna lose. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you're like, this one person is the odd man out that'll let you know who's gonna win.
Yeah.
Emi Sakura is good, but she's only ever on Dark, which I think that's the whole thing. She just trains people.
Is she the Freddie Mercury one?
Yeah, always in purple,
Yeah.
like a royal purple. I liked it better when she had her little assistant because
Oh yeah.
she would do that one cross body into the corner, and then they'd look at the camera and do like a little pose.
Mm-hmm.
Now she does this thing. She did it to Tony Storm this recent week where Tony Storm was on all fours with her butt in the air, and she would sit on her butt and pretend to drink tea. And then they just pose there. And then sometimes someone would come over, like Maria Shafir tried to like get a cup as well and try to pretend to sip with her. Like it was just like this like that's the fun moments of Emi Sakura. But she's essentially just a heel though. So Rampage, they did what was it? Best Friends and Orange Cassidy advanced. What else? Sunny Kiss was almost made. Like the heel turn was pointless. Not that they flipped back, but it wasn't really a deciding factor. Redeemer beat the crap out of Buddy Matthews. Trying to think of what else.
Hook beat somebody.
Well, that was gonna happen. That New Jersey, that Jersey Shore guy. Who the fuck cares? That was a whole. I remember that being a selling point when he started, where like the situation was in the audience at the Dark show, and I'm like, who cares? Like that's you're in the lowest rated show with one of the lowest rated people in the audience. Fuck that guy. But getting to next week, we have CM Punk versus Jon Moxley, which we assume that hilarity will ensue. Someone's gonna bleed. Probably Moxley. Most likely Let's just say right now, we know Moxley's gonna be bleeding by towards the end. Not very good at hiding his blades either. Always seems to be caught on camera.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I look away when that happens because I don't feel like I've seen it.
We have we actually have Billy, father versus son, Billy versus Colton Gunn.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting.
Scissor me, daddy ass.
That's actually an interesting kind of turn. I thought it would just be like he just gets left in the ring beaten up. But the fact that they Acclaim came down, I was like, what are they doing? Like, why would they? I don't know. I think it's weird. Like, it was nice when they were all together and they were like, he was liking the Acclaimed more than his own sons. That's like a funny little joke. But then to have him like continue with those guys, I feel like it's weird. Not that it's a problem, but it's just like, it's a weird kind of. It's not what I would have done. But then we have, and this is the problem I had, which was Dr. Britt Baker DMD is fighting Caitlin King.
Hey, we know her.
Almost as if to go, well, if Toni Storm can beat her, I can beat her. Who cares? Who cares? What merits does this woman have that people need to think that they need to be like, well, let's put her against the next woman. Let's put her against fucking Britt Baker now. She's a world champ. DMD. Kibbles is doing the DMD thing. You can't see it because it's a podcast. We hear from Ricky Starks.
Good.
We have Dax Hardwood versus Jay Lethal.
That'll be good.
And then we have the trios qualifier with. It's in different writing. I should know the people. I can see who it is. Death Triangle versus Aussie Open and Will Ospreay. So that'll be
a good match
for this week, as far as we know.
That'll be a good match.
I'm assuming the main event will be the AEW Heavyweight Champ.
It depends.
If they're going to build up something else for.
It depends because so Jericho Moxley was on last, but then before that, I guess the whole time Mox was champ. If he had a title match, he was on last. I'm just thinking about how when Hangman had the matches with Daniel Bryan, they were on first because they were time limit draws. I think that might be a telling sign. If the show starts with Punk Moxley, it's a time limit draw.
You think?
Yes.
I was gonna say either way, something's gonna happen if it's first.
Yes, that's a good. So if they go first, I think it is a Punk Moxley time limit draw because that means they are purposefully putting it on first, so that way it can take up all of its time and it can hit the time for the time limit draw, so that way nobody else can go over their time and mess with the time limit that they need for the championship match.
Mm-hmm.
If they go first, I'm calling it now. If they go first, it's time limit draw. That's my prediction.
I think the same, except for not a time limit. I think it's just in general going to be a lead-in to whatever they're doing at All Out. Whether Moxley is a part of it, or whether CM Punk's a part of it, whatever. If they're both a part of it, whatever. But I think it's going to lead into whatever they're doing for All Out. unless they're gonna do this. Do you think they're gonna do like what time limit draw and then do like a brawl fight, like a street fight or something?
Maybe, or just a no time limit match.
A no time limit match?
Well, that's what they did with Punk Daniel Bryan and Hangman. They did their first match was the 1 hour time limit draw, and then then when they had the rematch, they said there was going to be no time limit. They were going to fight until somebody won.
What did you hear about from WWE?
So NXT UK shutting down.
Did you hear the big blunder they did? Where they
The big blunder.
Yeah, with the title.
No.
So they did a tournament for the NXT, I guess heavyweight, whatever the NXT UK title is.
Mm-hmm.
They have the tournament set up, but then on Tuesday night, Tyler Bates came out with the title, and the tournament hasn't started yet.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they were like, they had his they were supposed to have his match like a couple days from before the thing started. And he came out with the title. So it's like, okay, obviously he won the tournament, because why would he come out with the title?
Right. Well, so I think they don't care because they are shutting down.
Because they're shutting down. You're going back to the store. They're shutting down NXT.
Well, yeah,
NXT
they
UK.
released they've released like 20 superstars from NXT UK this week.
Why?
And it looks like, and they've already announced they're doing a Worlds Collide. They're doing an NXT pay-per-view the same night, the same day as All Out.
Yeah, not the same time though. So,
and I think all of them, as of right now, the rumor is that it's going to be title unifications. It's going to be Bate against Breaker. The winner is the champ, and then they'll do the women's and they'll do the tag teams, and the winners take the titles and have them on regular NXT. And supposedly they are closing down NXT UK because they're going to, in early 2023, they are going to reopen it as NXT Europe, and it'll be like an entire Europe thing as opposed to just a UK thing. That's what they're saying.
So why would they release the people if they're going to reopen it anyway?
I think because they have to release them from their contracts, and well, so they're also using the term release. It's also highly possible that the UK talent were signed to contracts for a certain date, and they're just choosing not to renew those 20 people's contracts.
Okay.
That's also a possibility. It might not be that they're actually releasing them; it's that they're choosing not to.
Okay.
Choosing not to re-sign them.
So we shouldn't be mad.
Maybe.
Oh, we should be mad?
I don't know.
I thought we were done being mad at this company.
I don't know.
I thought we were supposed to be, when Triple H came in, everything was supposed to change.
Everything was going to change.
Regardless if anything changed at all.
Yes. So they're rebranding it. I think it's no different than what ROH was looking to do. Like ROH let everyone go, and they said, we're going to like completely rebrand in the new year. And then they ended up selling.
Once this stuff all goes away.
So I don't know if they... Right now, I think there's a plan to rebrand it as NXT Europe. No idea if they actually go through with that or not.
What you're saying is Tony Khan's going to buy out NXT
He's going to buy out NXT UK.
Nice. Nice.
What else? Sheamus won number 1 contendership for the Intercontinental Championship. So at Worlds Collide, we'll have... Or Worlds Collide. At Clash at the Castle?
The Intercontinental?
Yes.
So it's going to be overseas. It's going to be a German guy versus an Irish guy. Okay.
Yep. Makes sense.
I get the term. The thing they're doing.
Yeah. I did watch the segment with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. I thought that was hilarious.
Hey, does Bayley wrestle?
She did 2 weeks ago.
Did she?
I think they did a 6-woman tag.
Did they? Oh, yeah, right. They had to do the... No! I thought that was for the tag team titles. The qualifier for the tag team titles I thought was supposed to be happening.
Yeah, but I thought I thought they did a 6-woman tag on Raw.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't know if she wrestles at all. Like the last time I saw her was on Raw when she was there at ringside for the tag team qualifier.
I'm sure she will.
Which, by the way, the women's tag team titles are just appeared again.
Yeah,
They've
I
just
thought it
been
was.
gone.
Well, no, they had announced that they were going to eventually do a tournament for
But
them.
there was a good chunk of time where they weren't doing anything with it. Where it's just like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we're going to do a tournament. Well, when? They're like,
Yeah.
eventually.
Eventually.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We got some people showing up. Don't worry about it. We got to have enough women.
Yeah. I think they wrestled a 6-woman tag the night after SummerSlam.
You're probably right.
But yeah, the promo with Reigns, and it was funny. They were backstage, and he's like, "Yeah, Zayn, are you doing what you should be doing?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm repping the merch, the Bloodline merch, and the shirt that doesn't have him on it. That's the rest of them, but not him," which I think is hilarious. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win the number one contendership and win the Intercontinental title for the Bloodline." And Reigns is like, "Good." And then for some reason Zayn was like, "Yeah," and Jimmy was all like being crazy, like, "Oos, you got to do more, Oos, blah blah blah." And, so I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny Sami Zayn being like calling everybody Oos like they do.
Yeah.
I just find it hilarious. And I think it was a hugely missed opportunity to not have him win Money in the Bank. He should have won Money in the Bank.
Isn't that because I remember there was I watched something with The Rock. Is that what they call each other?
Oos, yeah.
Because he was saying how he said the night before WrestleMania, he said, I got powerbombed, and he's like, I felt Seth Rollins push down hard. He said, and it popped blood vessels in my chest or something like that. And he said I was coughing up blood at one point. And Roman Reigns goes, "You're all right, Oos?" And then he's like, I remember hearing Seth Rollins before I could even answer, go, "Who gives a shit?" and walk away. It was like this story that he's telling Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, like through like some kind of like Zoom meeting or whatever.
Yeah, it means brother.
That's what. Yeah, because he explains why they call each other that. But
yeah. So I found it hilarious him being like, "Oos, yeah, Oos, yeah, Oos," like he's in on the joke.
It's not wrestling related. I mean, it kind of is, but fucking Young Rock is such a good fucking show.
I guess I have to watch it.
Oh my god, it's so good, and it's not good in the it's good. Like, you'll like it in the concept of like wrestling, so like he'll explain stuff, but you're like, oh, I already know this. I understand this whole point. But they have some of the writers from like American Dad, not American Dad, or like Family Guy, people who work with like Seth MacFarlane. Funny, like some of the jokes in that show are funny. Like they legitimately have funny parts. Like there's funny jokes in the show, but it's this concept of like, these historical moments that are happening as they're happening. Like this guy, what's the guy's? It's like something Crusher. Something in Russian. Sounds something in Russian, Crusher. And I'm like, as soon as I saw him, I go, "That's Bam Bam Bigelow." And he's like they later on get to the point where like they're in Rocky's in the locker room. Rocky Johnson's in the locker room, and he goes, by the way, today's so-and-so's last match. And he goes, "Wait, what? Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm moving up to the big leagues now." He goes, "Oh, okay. It's like something with an S, Crusher." And he's like, "Oh, it's not Crusher anymore." He goes, "It's Bam Bam Bigelow." He's like, "I like it." And I'm like, that's like the moment where you're like, "Oh yeah, that's what's supposed to happen." But it's like that thing of like, they have a moment where Rocky as like a teenager, and or Rock as a teenager and Rocky are like asking Bam Bam Bigelow if his head tattoos hurt. He's like, "Oh, absolutely." Like it's just like this like moments where like there's such nice moments where like it's out of character, but it's dramatized. It's weird. Like you see these there's he goes to Corp Christi for his first like WWE show, and he's like in the locker room. He meets Mankind. He meets Stone Cold. He meets Triple H. He meets Undertaker. He meets all these people that like are just hanging out. He goes and like does this whole like it's freeze frames and it shows their name and then what they've done over the years, and like kind of like that person would end up being this person, and the fact that he was in a locker room with Stone Cold and thought he was going to get fired until he did the whole 316 gimmick, and that like kind of saved everything. Like, because then later on he brings it up and they're sitting there watching the 316 gimmick or the 316 promo, and he goes, "Wow, that's a great promo." And he goes, to think that I was talking to him a couple years ago, and he was thinking that he was going to get fired from this, and it was just like this. Like there's these moments where you're like, oh, that's awesome. It's like this, and it's a question of, was Rock really around for these situations and just happened to catch all these like moments? But it's such a fucking good show, and it's funny too. Like it's legitimately funny. Like they make fun of Tony Atlas and his love for feet, and like he constantly brings up feet, and then I'm like, oh, I get it, because he legitimately was like, they were making fun, like he's legitimately been open about his obsession with feet and women's feet. It's just so funny. It's such a good show. Kibbles, you gotta watch it. They're in season 2.
It's good shit.
It's good shit. The guy who plays Vince is pretty good. The guy who plays Macho Man is phenomenal. Fantastic. Wild Samoans are good. Iron Sheik is good. Just all like they
Sheiky
do.
baby.
They do such a good job of representing these people that you know from real life, and they're like not them, but you can tell like they're meant to be as close as possible to that kind of. Like
Where
even
the fuck is the Veer?
even the Rocky Johnson. Even Rocky Johnson is just, I feel like I'm watching legitimately him.
Mm-hmm.
They had Pat Patterson at one point. I'm like, I forget that that's not how Pat Patterson looks like, but he's doing, like, he does such a good job. And I'm like, that's Pat Patterson. I'm like, wait, no, that's not what he looked like. He looked like, the face will be different, but you're like, oh, it's a perfect representation of how they're trying to do these characters. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Did Rocky Johnson fight a bunch of midgets yet? And Eric Foreman was in the crowd?
No. Rocky Johnson or Rocky Maivia?
No, it was Rocky Johnson.
Rocky
Because
Johnson?
it was on that 70s show.
Oh, okay. No, I don't believe
Rocky Johnson fought a bunch of midgets, and it was like Red, Eric, and like the rest of them all went to go see the wrestling match.
And Rocky Johnson was...
And The Rock was playing his father.
Okay. But yeah, it's such a good representation of like, they get the characters so perfect. I love it. Some of the story, I'm like, I don't know if this is true. It's stuff that's outside of wrestling, so I don't know if it's true. But some of the stuff is like, you could actually watch this footage of stuff. Like when he's what's his first? Flex Cavana? Flex Cavana? Flex Cavana was his first name before he was Rocky Johnson.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, he's like, oh yeah, I went with Flex Cavana when I was in the promotion run by Jerry Lawler. By the way, the guy who plays Jerry Lawler, fucking great. Like everyone is so like perfect for that role. Like they did such a good job of hiring people who would do such a good job of representing a real person. I love it. It's so good.
So,
It's so good.
staying in the realm of wrestling, but going outside direct wrestling.
Yes. Before that, before you mention this, go watch Young Rock. Go ahead.
You're plugging Young Rock, and I will plug a book by
Oh right, you want to talk about that?
Brian Gewirtz. It's called There's Just One Problem. True Tales from the Former One-Time Seventh Most Powerful Person in WWE.
Most?
Seventh most powerful.
That makes me want to like retrace the
Yeah.
people.
With untold stories of a career spanning over 15 years, featuring the biggest names. It's an honest, unflinching look on how an introverted, lifelong fan unexpectedly became one of the most powerful men in all of wrestling. Then in 1999, after working together on a special for MTV, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson turned the 26-year-old television writer and asked, "Do you ever consider writing for WWE?" And that's where he comes over. And his career span 15 years, writing some of the most memorable and infamous storylines in WWE history, covering Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, and into the PG and reality eras.
What's the reality era? Is that now?
Yes. Or maybe that ended, but there was, yeah.
Now we're in the game era.
In the game era.
Listen, Rock.
So yeah,
So
it's,
where can you find this book? Because
you can find this book on Amazon.
Where do you find books? I don't know where you find. I know where you can find comics. I don't know where you can find books.
You can find it on Amazon. It's
Interesting.
kind of expensive, but
Do you know any other people who write books?
I do.
Yeah. Every day when you wake up in the mirror.
Every day I wake up, I look in the mirror and I say,
"Oh my goodness,
that guy
writes books.
writes books.
That guy writes books, and also he fucks."
Also,
Sorry,
he
that was
fucks.
a reference to something else.
Yeah, I read the first chapter. The first chapter started with, him being the first writer ever to be, first and maybe only writer to ever be taken to, wrestler's court.
Wrestler's court,
Mm-hmm.
like Undertaker's wrestler's court.
Yes.
Why is that?
He was taken because he was being accused of being big leaguing everyone, and he was also being accused of accepting bribes for TV time. So like Edge and Christian would give him stuff so that way he would write more for them to give them more TV time.
So who was taking him to wrestling court?
It was
Wrestler's court was. Go ahead.
Hardcore Holly
Fucking
was the
figures.
original, but apparently a lot of other people stood up and said some stuff. Like Hardcore Holly did, X-Pac did, Paul Heyman did.
Wow.
Some of it, a lot of it was taken out of context, but that's where it started. I'm interested to see where it goes because he did a lot of writing for Kurt Angle, a lot of writing for The Rock. A lot of writing for Edge and Christian, so I assume it's going to be a very good book. The first chapter was fucking awesome. It was very interesting.
For people who don't know, Wrestler's Court was something that was judged by Undertaker.
Yes.
Speaking of Undertaker, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, there's a scene in Young Rock where he says he's like, I'll never forget the first time I met Undertaker, and he comes into the locker room, not in character, going, motherfucker, and they bleep it out, but like he just goes motherfucker in a happy way. You think like he's just yelling it,
Yeah.
but he goes, and that's the first thing that he ever said to me in person. And then he like actually went and talked to him, but it was just like weird to have him come through the locker room and just shout motherfucker. But yeah, so this is a guy who started in the Attitude Era or before the Attitude Era.
He started before the Attitude Era. I mean,
Wow.
when he came in 1990. The Attitude Era wasn't really till 97.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when he started, it was still Hulkamania era. He was in there with like when he first came in and he was wrestling like Kamala, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Ted DiBiase.
No, I mean like the
Coco
writer
Beware.
guy. Sorry, the writer guy.
The writer
Sorry.
guy. Oh, sorry. No, the writer guy came in. He worked with MTV. He worked with The Rock on something for MTV, so he probably came into the business around 97.
Yeah, I mean The Rock was getting popular at that point.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd say definitely if you want to read that, definitely read that. But I'd say also if you want to check out The Rock stuff, is just so great. It's so good. There's a story about how Pat Patterson was treated like shit because he was the first openly gay wrestler, and his grandfather, Chief Peter Maivia, came up to him, kissed him on the lips, and to let everyone know to leave him the F alone. Supposedly that's a story. I don't know if it's true, but it's just the way they play it out. It's just so funny. But yeah, I would say check out that stuff. We're ready for Dynamite this week. Is there anything you're super excited for as far as this matches?
Yeah.
I hope the trios match is going to be good.
I am excited for the trios match because I think it's going to be awesome. I'm also very excited for Punk and Moxley.
We'll see where we go from there.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, I don't. There was one weird thing this week for Rampage I forgot to mention, which was the Private Party versus the Tag Team Champions.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point where at the end they shook their hands, and I was like, "That's interesting." They kind of just gave them respect,
Mad respect, bro.
Just having respect for each other. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it for us. Thank you for listening. And if you're on my channel, thank you for watching. Staring at the same picture for however long, if you are. But mostly you're just probably listening. So thank you for doing that regardless. Most importantly, as Kibbles always says, you should...
Needful to do.
Oh, Jesus.
That's how Yoda would say it.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about Yoda at all today?
Nope.
Why would you bring that up?
I don't know. Do the needful.
Thank you guys for
Well, no, I
listening.
guess Yoda would say do needful the. Because he doesn't say it completely
The needful
backward.
you must do.
The needful you must do.
All right. Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys probably next week, hopefully. Say bye, Kibbles.
Bye, Kibbles.
God damn it.
And the other one, which we're getting this Wednesday, is Andrade El Idolo, Dragon Lee, and Roosh against Young Bucks and Question Mark.
Hey, you're American. You can say Rush.
That's how it's pronounced. It's pronounced Roosh.
How's it spelled?
R-U-S-H.
That's Rush.